The subject is the hub of universal activities. What is this universe? This universe is a collection of numerous waves of various lengths. Not only the five inferences, tanmatras, but each and every manifestation of this universe is completely vibrational. Everything is moving according to a particular system. Nothing is linear. Everything is pulsative or systetic. The manifestation of human life is an expression of different energies. Everything is emanating from a nucleus, and this nucleus is the hub of universal activities. Here, activities do not mean only physical activities. They mean all sorts of activities, external, intellectual, indeed anything existential. All these expressions arise within the scope of action. All the microcosms emanate from Parampurus and finally return to him. This movement of microcosm also takes place in the form of emanated waves. Nothing can go beyond this fixed law. This particular movement of the microcosm has not only a particular rhythm, it has a particular form as well. For instance, all the celestial bodies we notice in the sky have their respective forms and colors. Those bodies are neither circular nor oval. They all have a particular irregular shape. Similarly, the orbit of the microcosm has a particular form. In the manifested world, from small to smallest and from big to biggest, all creatures vary in their shape and sizes. Within an atomic structure, there is a nucleus around which so many electrons are moving in a particular flow. If there is the slightest variation, the balance of the atomic structure is jeopardized and the equipoise is lost. The fusion and the fission of atomic structures releases a tremendous amount of force, and for the greater welfare of humanity, we can bring about imbalance in the atomic structure and amass a certain amount of energy thereby. In molecular structures, it is the same as the system of our planet Earth, in which the moon is revolving around the Earth according to a fixed system. In our vast solar system, too, such a law is equally operating. The sun remains fixed, and planets and satellites are moving around it. Likewise, the cosmological order has a rotational movement, and it too is neither round nor oval. It also has a particular irregular shape. It is somewhat like the solar system, but very vast in comparison. According to some persons, this universe is infinite, but this is not true, as this universe also is a created manifestation of the Supreme Consciousness. Due to the influence of the static principle of Prakriti, it is bound to have a particular shape and form. And since it is under the static principle, it must be under bondage and limitations. Hence, the universe is certainly finite. Although it is very vast, it is not infinite or Anand. It is a vast manifested body of Parampurusa, and this body also has a nucleus of its own. We call this nucleus Purushottam. Like the innumerable electrons moving around the nucleus of an atomic structure, innumerable microcosms are also moving around this Purushottam, some of them knowingly, some unknowingly. It is not possible for anyone to remain inert. Take the case of a dead body, whether neither the mind nor the soul is operating, but as the physical is within this universe, so it too is moving along with this revolving universe. Thus, although the mind of a dead body ceases to function, its inert body lying on the earth is still moving. No one in this universe has come to stay. Like the cosmological order itself, all the microcosms will have to move unceasingly, and not only the living world but also all objects and entities, animate, inanimate, will have to move around the nucleus of the cosmological order, for movement is the bounden duty of each and every microcosm. Sarva jive, sarva sansthe, brihante tasmin hanso, brihmanyate, brahmachakre, prithagaatmanam, preritaranch, matva, justastena, mrita tvameti. Whenever there is a nucleus in any structure, two belligerent forces become operative. One is the centrifugal force and the other is the centripetal force. Similarly, in the cosmological system, two mutually contradictory forces are working. One is the Vidya Shakti and the other is the Avidya Shakti. When the centrifugal force or Avidya Shakti dominates, the microcosms move away from the nucleus and the length of the radius increases. On the contrary, when the Vidya Shakti dominates, human beings come closer to Parampurus and the length of the radius decreases. But whether the length of the radius increases or decreases, the movement of the microcosms continues unceasingly, and in the process the radius is reduced until finally it becomes nil. Conversely, due to the influence of Avidya Shakti, the microcosms gradually move away from the nucleus and their radius goes on increasing. The vast expression of the entire life force, the endless external flow, the manifestation of infinite activities is all emanating from the supreme nucleus, the original hub of the universe. Sarva jive, sarva sansthe, ajiv or abhog means occupation or pabulum. Not only the physical body, but the mind also requires a pabulum. Whatever object the mind confines itself to, that is its pabulum. Physical pabulum is called ajiv in Sanskrit, but mental pabulum is called abhog. The object with which the mind is preoccupied or obsessed is its psychic pabulum or abhog. All microcosms, birds, animals, human beings, with their respective psychic pabula are constantly moving around the universal hub. Now the question is, how long shall that movement continue? In this universe, under the influence of various sanskaras, all are moving along their own orbits with different ideations. It is an interesting phenomenon that the thought of no two persons are alike. If you attend a gathering of 5,000 people, you will notice that all those 5,000 people have different thoughts and ideas. And according to their internal sanskaras, some of them are developing new thoughts and ideas. Likewise, so many mental pabula, so many mental thoughts are moving along with so many physical structures, so many objects and living beings of kaleidoscopic colors and characteristics are moving on. In the vast multitude of people, some are short, some tall, some white, some black, some fat and stocky, some lean and thin. What a staggering variation in physical structures. Just as there is immense difference in the physical structures, so also there is difference in their internal thoughts and ideas. Strange indeed, and Paramapurusha, seated in the middle of this cosmological order, is merely smiling to see that his vast and mysterious universe of animate and inanimate creatures is moving around him as the nucleus. Here the living world does not only include human beings, it also includes birds, animals, reptiles, trees and plants. I have described this endless movement of microcosms around the nucleus as an eternal dance around the Supreme. I call it a dance because this movement of the microcosm is also proceeding in a rhythmic vibration, alternately rising and falling. Thus, it is not an ordinary movement. It is a veritable dance. When the waves are gigantic, the dance becomes unnatural In that case, we can call it the Tandava dance. Through these vibrational expressions in the form of crests and thoughts, crest and trough, human beings are advancing. This unending flow of supreme cognition is called rasa or flow in the scriptures. Here Parampurusha is described as rasa, vaisa. He is flow personified. Regarding human beings, it has been said that they are rational animals. But I do not subscribe to this view. In my opinion, human existence is an ideological flow. It can never be compared to the existence of an animal. The eternal movement of the microcosms around Parampurusha is called Rasa Leela. Human beings usually do not realize the real significance of this Rasa Leela. They can never go beyond this vast cognitive flow. It may be that the distance of human beings from the nucleus may increase, but they cannot go outside of their orbits around him. For after all, what is outside or beyond him, take for instance the case of a so-called sinner. Paramapurusha may scold him, but he can never say, "Get out. I don't want to see your face," because as there is nothing beyond his cognitive flow, then where will that confirmed sinner go? And in that case, if that sinner asks him, "Oh Lord, kindly tell me where I can go," then Parampurusha will certainly have to remain silent, because if there is any place beyond or outside of Parampurusha, then certainly he is not infinite. He is finite. So the Brahmachakra or cosmological system is just like the solar system or the Earth's planetary system. And hence not only human beings but also trees and plants are moving around this nucleus, cosmic nucleus. And thus in the process of movement, when the radius decreases, to some extent the microcosms are elevated from the world of plants to the world of animals. And when the radius decreases, still further they are elevated to the status of human life. And when the radius decreases, still further the humans become more developed, they become Mahapurushas. And when the distance is completely obliterated, then they become one with Parampurush. Brahmavid Brahmaya Bhavati. The devotee and the Lord become one. If someone even after attaining a human form forgets Parampurush and keeps moving with eyes closed, in the case the radius will certainly increase, and such a person will be degraded and gradually reborn as an animal, plant, etc. Hence the task of a sadhaka or an intelligent person is to reduce her radius, and this systematic endeavor to reduce the gap is called sadhana. The sadhana is mandatory for all, irrespective of whether or not one is young or old, man or women. Just as there are various functions of the physical body, the mind also discharges two functions, thinking and memory. While thinking, if people remember that they have acquired this power of thinking from Parampurush, they will never suffer any mental degradation. Rather, they will be mentally elevated. Similarly, if they think that they have acquired the capacity of memory due to the grace of Parampurush, then this memory power will increase until finally they will be established in Dhruva Smriti or constant remembrance of Parampurush. Prathagatmanam preritarancha matva justasta tastena mrita tattvameti. How long will this rotation around the nucleus continue? It will continue as long as human beings think. I and my Lord are two separate entities. Theoretically, it is said that Parampurush is the source of all external flows. That is, he is the one who sends the microcosms unto this earth and then goads them into action. Thus, as long as microcosms have this feeling of separateness from their creator, they will keep on moving in orbit around the nucleus. Conversely, when they start thinking that I and my Creator are one and all my external flows emanate from Him, that very moment the microcosms will merge their individualities into the supreme singularity, thus putting an end to their eternal movement around the nucleus. This is called the attainment of moksha in spiritual practice. Now the question arises, how will a microcosm become one with Him? This science of becoming one with Him will have to be learned from Him. The problem is that the microcosms themselves cannot teach this science to other microcosms. They can only pray to the nucleus of this cosmological order, O Lord, I long to be one with you. Please reveal your inner secret how to become one with you. The moment such an intense desire arises in the human mind, then Param Purusha cannot remain indifferent, because these microcosms who are moving around him, whether they are intelligent human beings or undeveloped animals and plants, they are all his creations. The different limbs of his vast microcosmic body, and hence they are his nearest and dearest ones, and for the microcosms, he is the very life of all lives, the most favorite entity of human beings, who are the crown of creation. Hence their mutual relation is one of extreme love and sweetness. The existential I feeling of human being is the small I, and the I feeling of Param Purusha is the great I. The conflict, the great I. Thus, in every human being there are two I's, a microcosmic I and a macrocosmic I. The conflict among human beings is all due to this small I, but the great I is one for all. So the moment the microcosmic I sincerely prays to know the inner secret of attaining the divine life, the macrocosmic I is bound to give inspiration to that prayer. Muktya Kanksha Sadguru Prapti. That is when the yearning for salvation becomes so intense that Param Purusha in the form of a guru is compelled to disclose the secret to the inquiring soul. Thus in the Anand Sutram it is said, Brahma Guru Reka Napara. Brahma alone can give instruction for the attainment of self-knowledge. In the adoration of the Guru it has been said, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, Guru Reva Param Brahma Tasmai SHRII Guruve Namah. In the spiritual world, Param Purusha will have to come down to those individuals who seek salvation in the form of a preceptor or guru, and when human beings receive the secret hints of spiritual practice from Param Purusha, then they permanently establish themselves in the world of immortality. This is the blissful end of their prolonged journey towards the nucleus of the cosmological order, and they attain a supramundane stance beyond the scope of pleasure and pain. This very endeavor to attain this immortal stance is called Dharma Sadhana. In the spiritual world, and the attainment of the supreme rank or at the feet of Parama Purusha is called moksha or salvation.